Hi, welcome to Five Writers, 5 Minutes, where five very, very experienced writers share their tips and advice for great writing. My name is Deborah Abela.
I'm Sarah Armstrong.
I'm Lian Tanner.
I'm Tristan Bancks.
And I'm Zanni Louise.
And today we're going to do a deep dive. So we're all authors. We've written many, many books, but we're going to every now and then take a deep dive into one of the books that we have written. And today we're going to talk about The Kindness Project, which is my latest book. So I'm going to be grilled very hard by my fellow lovely Ubers into how this book came about. So who'd like to take the first question?
Me. I want to know what the initial spark for this book was, Deb.
So this book started because I got a scene in my head, and sometimes my novels will start like that. I had an idea of a young girl around 11 who kidnaps her grandma from an aged care home that is a miserable, terrible place. And then I thought it was going to be a fun, kind of adventurous sort of romp. But then, of course, things change. You start to ask questions, and the whole novel then really took quite a big turn from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting, Deb. I was wondering, I know that we all use our own lives in certain ways when we write, in different degrees with everything we write. How did the real world sort of tip into your story? Are there any inspirations there?
Yeah, definitely. So with all of my books, no matter how fantastical, there's always real life that sort of juts in to this. So there are 4 kids who are given this project to make the world a better place, which is the Kindness Project. But the teacher puts these 4 kids together who cannot stand each other, and they have to work out a way to work together to come up with this project that they have to present at an end of term night in front of all their families. And I thought, well, these kids, I don't want them just to have happy and lovely lives, because that's just not the real world. And I thought, what if these kids all realize they've got something in common? And what if they realize they're all actually sort of facing some pretty big dilemmas in their lives? And so I kind of thought about myself when I was a kid and what dilemmas I faced. I thought about my friendship group at the moment and some of the dilemmas they're facing. And so, I've got one kid who adores her grandma just like I did, but grandma's kind of locked in this prison of a nursing home. And I thought, well, how would I feel about that? I'd want to break her out. I've got another kid who's new to the school, and a lot of kids have felt that idea of being the new kind of outsider kid. Then I thought, well, why is he new to the school? And I thought, well, I wonder if his mum's not well. And I had a friend at the time who's a mum of 2 kids, and she wasn't well. And I thought, well, what if that happens? And I got her permission. I asked her if that was okay. So I definitely borrow from things that have happened in my life. And that's how my characters are created.
I love how in the book they all think that they know the other kids in their group, but then it's revealed over the course of the story that they totally didn't understand this whole other thing that was going on in their lives that totally justifies why they are the way they are sometimes. I really like that. And can you tell us what the shift was in your head between writing a prose novel, which is your usual way of writing, like a regular novel, and then writing a verse novel?
Yes, because this is a verse novel, and I'm not sure why. It definitely desperately wanted to be a verse novel, and I've never written them before.
You were terrified, weren't you, at first? You were like, I don't know how to write a verse novel. I'm making it up as I go.
I know, and my good buddies here on the podcast said, no, Deb, you can do it. And so I thought, okay, let's just give it a try. I love prose novels, and I'm writing another prose novel at the moment. But what I loved about the verse novel is you have to tell like a whole chapter worth of stuff in a verse. Yeah. And it means you've got to get to the point very, very quickly. You can't add extra stuff. You can't have long descriptions about place. You just have to work out what is the point of this chapter and how can I get into it as quickly as possible, which means verse novels often read very quickly. They're often very page-turnery things. And I loved that. And I think I love writing prose, but I think the freedom of writing verse novels without too much description was really, really fun in the end.
One thing I really liked about your use of the verse novel, because I've seen a few verse novels and I always love verse novels, but there's something that your novel does in specific, which is really embracing the design of the text on the page. They're almost a little, because I write picture books, they're almost like there's a visual quality to the text itself. How did that come about, and how did you manage that? Like, are you working with a designer? How does this all work?
Yeah, that was very funny because I was just working on a regular sort of document, and then every now and then I think, oh no, that kid's really scared right now, so I want the word scared to be big and in a font that made readers feel like, oh, that kid is really scared. And I knew I wanted that visual element, so that people weren't just reading the text. They were kind of reading how that text was formed. And so there are a couple of ways that meaning is created in this book. And so I asked, well, I just did it. In fact, I didn't ask. And then I sent it to my publisher and she just went, oh, Deb, that's super fun. Because, you know, when a character's feeling invisible, that the font actually goes really, really little and really faint. And if a character's feeling left out, or if a character's feeling really angry, the text is bold and big and kind of exploding all over the page. That was so much fun. And almost for that reason alone, I hope I will have another idea for a verse novel, because you get these multiple different ways of being able to tell the same story.
Oh, I
It
love
works so beautifully, that it's lovely to read because of
It's
that.
a great book. I love it.
it. Highly recommend
See,
it.
this is why I'm in the uber talented critique group, because they support you. And it's one big thing that I would say to all writers.
And you're uber
Get
talented.
yourself, yes, get yourself a group of buddies, whether you're a new writer or like us, we've been writing for a very long time. But if you have a group of buddies, you can say, that's great, and they'll urge you on, or they'll say, I don't quite understand that. So my big tip for anyone listening is get yourself a wonderful critique group, just like the 5 writers. So thank you so much for being here today and for listening to our deep dive into the Kindness Project. We are a podcast and a YouTube thingy, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
See ya.